Shiva Keshavan, the fearless athlete who has dedicated his life to the adrenal-fueled sport of luge. From the icy slopes of the Himalayas to the Olympic stage, Shiva has carved his path with determination and grit. With 6 Winter Olympic appearances under his belt, Shiva is not just a competitor, but a legend in the making. Through triumph and adversity, Shiva's unwavering spirit and passion for his sport have inspired generations.
So rewinding my story, I think I started winter sports as early as I can remember, probably 2, 3, 4, I was already sliding down the mountain. At that time, Manali, Vashisht, the village that I grew up in, we used to get snowed in the winter. There used to be no electricity, roads used to be cut off for months during the winter. And we used to, make do and try to find activities to keep ourselves busy. And as kids, of course, sledding is one of the elemental winter sports. It's what most kids would learn when they start. And from there, I guess, I never really had an idea that I want to reach the Olympics. It was never in my scheme of things, but I was always competitive. So when I was doing something, when I was competing, even when I was studying, I always wanted to be good and I wanted to, set a standard. While I was growing up, I led a very active and healthy lifestyle. My parents allowed me to try a wide variety of sports. Of course, we lived a lot in the outdoors. Food was wholesome, natural, and they instilled in me this, passion for nature and understanding of, your physical being. So I think, this experimentation with sport when I was young. I tried skiing. I tried, of course, sledding. Those were normal things that any child living in the Himalayas would do. I also did athletics, team sports, hockey. So I think when the time came, I just got an opportunity came. As circumstance in life, you never know what comes, what opportunity comes up. And at that moment, I was ready for it, and luge was the choice for me. I was always attracted to winter sports because winter sports, there is an adventure associated with it. There's a thrill, and of course that was the environment that I was brought up in, and it was the popular culture at the time, and it still is, and so I always wanted to make a mark. I did skiing as well. I was fairly good at skiing at a young age, and there were a number of issues which pushed me away from skiing, and then it seemed like destiny when another opportunity like this came up, and I didn't want to let it go. So that's how luge came about. So I was always competitive as a kid, and I think that was what kind of pushed me. I went one step at a time. The real realization with luge that came in was when I was picked up by a talent scout. It was my first opportunity in Austria. I remember this was probably '95. And while I was competing, it just so happened that there was a World Cup training camp in the same place that I was competing. And when you watch TV as a kid, you watch the athletes, you idolize them, you think they are something beyond human. And then just seeing these people in the same venue as I was, being able to match myself up against some of the best athletes in the world, that's when it first struck me. It's not so difficult, I can make it happen. And I guess that was it for me. From there, I wanted to push myself and see, how I matched up. Well, Cool Runnings was an incredible inspiration for me. I was lucky that over the years I did manage to meet all the original athletes from Cool Runnings. And if you haven't seen it, it's a movie about four Jamaican sprinters that transferred their skills into winter sports, and they reached the Winter Olympics. They did really well, and they inspired millions of people around the world, including myself, to go for it, to go for your dreams, even though you might not have, the best of facilities or any of the facilities. So that Cool Running was an inspiration because of that, and because I identified with the fact that I was training in a place where there was no recognition for the sport, there were no facilities for the sport, and I knew within me that I can still make it, and which is the message I always try to give kids these days. Don't bother about what facilities are provided for you. If you want something bad enough, you got to go and take it. I remember when I was 16, the moment that realization hit me that it's possible for me to qualify for the Olympics. Slowly things started. It didn't really make sense in my head. I knew I was in a big scheme of things. I was doing something great. But at that moment, the realization is not there. But when I entered the Olympic stadium at the opening ceremony, carrying the Indian flag, and everyone around me, all my competitors were double my age. At one point I felt a little out of place, at one point, a little uncomfortable, but when you're carrying the flag, even if you're alone like I was in '98, the whole country is behind you. You feel that weight on your shoulders, you feel the, push on your back, and that really gave me strength. I was fortunate that throughout my sports career, my wife Namita was always with me. She was a pillar of support. She left her job to be my manager, so to speak. So we used to look for sponsorships. She used to be my high performance director. She used to, look for materials. She used to find coaches for me. She used to make sure that I can focus, single-mindedly on the job to be done, which is to improve myself and improve my ranking, qualifying for the Olympics. And I think that was a big part of my journey. And we used to travel the world together. It was a wonderful time. Now I've decided to shift to Mumbai for a new phase in my life, in which I'm working at in a sports foundation, and so we don't get to spend as much time together, but this is part of the process. And as any athlete, career transition is a difficult time. And whether we are in the same place or whether we are apart, I know that we're always supporting each other. And I'm glad and I'm grateful for that. And of course, my daughter, she's 8 now, and she's also picking up various sports. So she's going through that phase, and I get to relive, I guess, as any parent would, get to relive your own childhood and see some of the things that you relate to, right? So it's an amazing time. So in 2018, at my last games, my daughter was there to see me, and it was a very special moment for me. And I felt that as a father, I always had an extra reserve of energy, because I'm not just doing it for myself. I'm not just doing it for the reasons that I normally do it. I'm doing it to live up to expectations of somebody that I care about, to set an example. And I'm glad that she was there. And I think she was the only kid who was there at minus 28 degrees Celsius, to see her dad perform. So it was a very special moment for me. And I'm sure those videos, will be part of our cherished memories together. After competing in 6 Olympic Games, and I felt that I needed to take a step back, and I needed to look at what I can do to promote the larger growth of this ecosystem in India. It was a difficult moment for me. One part of me said, okay, I must continue, although the difficulties were always mounting up for winter sports athlete in India. And so I decided that we need somebody to make a change in the system, so that the thousands of athletes that have those same dreams and aspirations have somebody who's supporting them. And so I started becoming an advocate for athlete representation in governance, in sports governance. I started talking about the importance of winter sports in India and the potential for winter sports in India, which is largely not understood, because winter sports are practiced in remote corners of the country, whether you look at Himachal, Kashmir, Ladakh, Uttarakhand, probably Arunachal, Sikkim, far away from the commercial hubs and capitals of the country. So I wanted to bridge that gap. I wanted to bring the message to Delhi, to Mumbai, and to say that, look, we are also a part of this country, and the youth in these areas deserve a chance. And also, thanks to my studies, I realized that sports is not just about the game. Sports is a larger vehicle for development, and thanks to events like what is happening over here in Gulmarg this year, is the fourth edition of the Khelo India Winter Games. It's an opportunity for young athletes to shine, and it's a platform for young athletes to familiarize themselves with a certain level of competition, with a certain level of facilities, so that we can compete then against the rest of the world in winter sport as well. And I'm extremely glad and proud that the government of India is supporting winter sports in this way, even though it wasn't there during my time. The kids of today get to experience this, and I hope this movement continues to grow. And I'm sure this will be a launch pad for not just our athletes to go and do well abroad, but for us to be able to host international level competitions in India, because we have amazing facilities and we must make use of them. And the people, especially in these areas, in these remote areas, can generate wealth, can develop infrastructure, and can be part of the whole development of our country. I guess I was always one for speed, and I broke the Asian speed record several times, and I think that's when probably some of the media started talking about me as fire on ice, because I came from a warm country, and then it became fastest man in Asia, fastest man on ice. So yeah, I guess that's a title that stuck, and I didn't really give it much thought, but I do identify with it. Some people who follow me, some fans, friends, I guess, a lot of people send me postcards, gifts, sometimes letters, and it means a lot to know that people are supporting in this way. And one of the things I received was this T-shirt which says "The fastest man on ice," and I like to wear it when I can. Well, I'm not a huge social media person, but it is a great platform to connect with people, and I always appreciate people that are following athletes, because that support is very important to us, both emotionally, psychologically, but it also helps to find sponsors. For example, an athlete who has a lot of following, it's easy to find sponsors, and so it becomes part of the job, and for me it is more of a way to connect with people, to know what people are thinking, because for me sports was never really about money. Any money I ever made, I put it back into the sport, but this was an added incentive, the respect and the love that you get from people. And I think that has been the greatest gift that I've been able to receive while I was competing. Well, luge is a technical sport. There's the whole equipment component to the sport that plays a huge part, especially when you reach a certain level. The differentiator between athletes is often the quality of equipment which you use. and you have countries such as Germany working with big sports manufacturers. You've got NASA helping some countries out to develop new materials that slide faster on ice, reduce friction. And once I got to a certain level, and the incremental gains that you can do in a sport that is so technical, our sport is measured in 3,000ths of a second. That means 0.000 seconds, or rather 0.001 seconds. And so how do you improve a thousandth of a second at a time? How do you improve a tenth of a second, a hundredth of a second? And we have to do anything we can and not leave anything to chance. So whether it's aerodynamics, whether it is materials, whether it is simply the kind of suit that you're wearing, whether it is the design of the sled. So I tried to improvise as much as I could, and eventually what happened was that I ended up building my own workshop, and I ended up experimenting with various metals, with various composite materials, fiberglass, carbon fiber, Kevlar, you name it. And it's part of the thrill of the sport, because even when you're off the field of play, you're still tinkering with various things. I was on the circuit, and Duncan, he's a legendary American luge athlete, and he was commentating at that time, and he saw me competing in several races, and he noticed the kind of equipment I was using, and he's also very much into sled building and the technology behind sport, and he's just a great guy. So we met by chance actually, and we said, hey, how about we try to work together, and that's what we did, and there was a huge benefit in having a personal coach. Of course, it was a huge challenge to make it happen, to pay for it. But luckily, by that time, the government also started supporting me, because I was part of the elite program, and I used to get some direct funding from the government, and that helped me to take the sport to the next level. And so I realized the importance of material, of coaching, of exposure, at that level. I don't really remember the year, but I remember that we approached maybe 100 sponsors before we got the first yes. Most of the people, they said, okay, we wish you well, we don't really understand the sport, and it ended at that. But I think once Namita came on board, it was the passion that we could convey to companies that finally convinced them to support us. I remember some of my best sponsors were MTS. Obviously, there was a USB data cellular company, so there was a lot of sync with the speed, right? And then Coca-Cola was a sponsor that was with me for many years. There was Deloitte. There was Swiss Air, which was one of my best sponsors, because they used to fly me all over the world. And many more came along the way. There were a lot of private individuals that reached out to me. The Hero Group was there, Hero FinCorp, Hero Electronics. So, I just put myself out there, and then, where there's a will, there's a way. That's what I always believe. You have to try, and then you see. I would say my best memory is still from my first Olympics, because that emotion when you realize that you're representing your country, that never goes away. However, every Olympics was special. The Olympics in '98, Nagano was special because everything was new. It was the first one. Salt Lake City was special because apart from it being my first time in the US, I took it to the next level. Torino was probably my most competitive performance. Vancouver, was special because there were so many Indians over there. And then Sochi, PyeonChang, everyone has its own memories associated with it, but nothing beats the first, I think. Well, it was, I think it gave me confidence, because initially I was very nervous as a 16-year-old kid walking into an Olympic arena. But when the flag was handed to me, it was, I was given some sort of a power, it's a superpower. And it's because, I think it's because there's so much associated with the flag. There's so much emotion associated with it, so much pride associated with it. And there are so many people behind you at that moment, and you're not doing it just for yourself, but you're doing it for your country. So I think, the honor and confidence, these are the two words that come to mind. Well, every sport has a different qualification process to reach the Olympic Games. In luge, you have to accumulate points through World Cups. So you have to first qualify for a World Cup, then you have to get points in that World Cup. I think you have to qualify in at least 5 World Cups in luge right now to get the minimum eligibility criteria. And then after those 5 World Cups, you have to come within the top 40, or maybe right now it's the top 35 in the world, to get a chance to represent the country at the Olympics. So the Olympics is obviously comes once every 4 years. It's the toughest event to get to, and that's probably also what makes it special. Well, now that I've retired from active sport, I think that I would like to fulfill the potential of our country internationally. I always thought that we are underrepresented, and I think that we can do a lot better on the international scene. Our country is doing well, across all kind of disciplines, all spheres of life. We're now the top 4 or 5 economies of the world. I think we're the only major economy that hasn't hosted the Olympic Games yet. That is a major benchmark. And apart from that, raising India's medal tally at the Olympics, that is something that I'd like to contribute towards. And it's not because it's just a number. It's because I want more people, more youths to be involved in sport and show their potential and put their energy in a positive manner towards this, right? And this helps because sport is not just about playing. Sport is about nation building. Sport is about values. Sport is about a sense of belonging. It ties us together as a country, and it also shows what is our state of development. It's a soft power internationally. And so this is the general picture. Of course, I'm very interested in winter sports, and I want all this to happen in winter sports as well. There's no reason why there should not be anybody. I think we have enough potential, enough talent, and we have enough natural facilities for winter sports. What I've been struggling to understand is why, despite all of this, we're not in a better place. But I think that now that myself and other senior athletes are, putting our energies together to push for the development of winter sports, and now that the government is so committed to bringing a change, to bringing in infrastructure, and to building platforms such as Khelo India, I think the time is not far where we are able to rise in the international rankings there as well. In terms of natural facilities, let me assure you, we have among the best natural facilities in the world. It's all about understanding this potential, doing a little bit of investment to make sure that our athletes are able to access these facilities, use them, and bring them up to an international standard so that we can compete on a level playing field. I would like to thank the government. I would like to thank the Sports Authority of India. I'd like to thank the Honorable Sports Minister, Sri Anurag Thakurji. I'd like to thank the Honorable Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, because The attention that has been brought towards sports in recent history is huge, and we need more heroes in our country. We need more role models, and I think the larger population of our country will benefit a lot from this, and so I hope that we keep paving this way forward, and we claim our space amongst the top nations in the world in sport.